Serena had always thought she was invisible, just another face in the crowd, a heart quietly broken by the one she had loved and lost. But tonight, in the grand hall of the northern castle, everything changed. The air was thick with the scent of pine and smoke, shadows dancing along the walls as the pack gathered for the ceremonial feast. Her ex Adrian lounged smugly against the marble railing, the arrogance in his gaze a cruel reminder of the life she had tried to escape. Then she saw him, Liam the Alpha King, a predator wrapped in human form, his amber eyes glowing with a dangerous intensity that made her pulse race. The moment his gaze met hers, the world seemed to stop, every whisper and movement fading into nothing. Before she could even comprehend it, he strode toward her, every step commanding the room, and captured her lips in a kiss that stole her breath and set her soul on fire. Pulling back just enough to murmur in her ear, he whispered words that would echo in her heart forever. Let him watch what he lost. In that instant, Serena realized her life had changed forever. The Alpha King had claimed her, and no one, not her past, not her ex, not even the shadows lurking in the night, would ever take her away. The night air was heavy, scented with the wild fragrance of pine and the faint, primal musk of wolves. Serena's heart thudded violently in her chest as she stepped into the grand hall, her heels clicking against the polished stone floor. She hadn't expected to see him here, never him. Not after all the pain he had caused her. Liam, Alpha of the Northern Pack, the king whose mere presence commanded respect and fear, stood at the center, his powerful frame illuminated by the flickering chandeliers. But it wasn't just his aura that made her knees weaken, it was the way he looked at her, with an intensity that made the room shrink around them. Her ex, Adrian, leaned casually against the ornate railing, a smug smile tugging at his lips. He hadn't missed a chance to flaunt their past together, thinking Serena would still feel the sting of lost love. But tonight, the tables were turning, and Liam was about to make that very clear. Liam's eyes locked onto hers, a dangerous spark dancing within their amber depths. He didn't approach immediately. Instead, he let the silence stretch, letting Adrian squirm under his icy, predatory gaze. The pack members around him shifted subtly, muscles tensing, sensing the storm that was about to break. Finally, Liam crossed the hall in long, deliberate strides. Each step echoed like a drumbeat, and Serena felt the pull in her chest as though he were drawing her to him with an invisible leash. When he reached her, he didn't speak. He simply lifted a hand, brushing a loose strand of hair from her face, his touch electrifying. "Serena," he murmured, his voice low, commanding. Her breath caught, her body betraying the years she'd spent trying to suppress the fire he ignited. And then, in a single, shocking motion, he pressed his lips to hers. Not a gentle kiss, but one that screamed ownership, protection, and desire all at once. The room seemed to hold its breath. Adrian's smug smile faltered, his eyes wide in disbelief. Pulling back just enough to whisper into her ear, Liam said, his words dripping with honeyed venom, "Let him watch what he lost." The effect was instantaneous. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Serena felt every head turned toward them, every pair of eyes drawn to the undeniable chemistry between her and the Alpha King. And as her ex's expression shifted from arrogance to shock, Serena realized that tonight, everything had changed. But amidst the triumphant heat of the moment, a storm brewed. Liam's protective instincts flared, sensing unseen dangers lurking in the shadows of the grand hall. And Serena, despite the rush of passion, couldn't shake the feeling that this public declaration was only the beginning of a far more dangerous game. The hall still buzzed with murmurs long after Liam had pulled back from the kiss. Serena's cheeks burned, not from shame, but from the undeniable heat coursing through her veins. Adrian, frozen in disbelief, finally stumbled backward, his pride shattered in front of the entire pack. But Serena's attention wasn't on him. It was on Liam. Liam didn't let go of her hand. His grip was firm, possessive, a silent declaration that she was his. "Stay close," he murmured, his voice only for her, even in the presence of dozens of onlookers. His words wrapped around her like a protective shield. As they moved through the crowd, whispers and sideways glances followed them. The pack members recognized the strength of an alpha's claim. It was not merely a kiss, but a binding declaration of intent, a warning to anyone who dared challenge him. Adrian, however, wasn't ready to vanish quietly. He stepped forward, anger flashing in his eyes. "You can't just take her like that, Serena." Liam's head snapped toward him, eyes glowing amber in the dim light. "I already have," he said, his voice cold, lethal. His presence alone caused Adrian to falter, the confidence he had carried moments before draining from him. The room felt smaller somehow, the air heavier, the tension palpable. Serena's pulse raced. Part of her thrilled at Liam's dominance, the way he protected her without hesitation. But another part, cautious, wary, remembered the pain of the past. "Liam," she whispered, drawing a tiny step back. Don't make this harder than it already is." Liam's gaze softened, just enough that she felt her knees weaken. "Serena," he murmured, brushing his thumb across her cheek, "everything about you has always been mine. I've waited, and I won't wait any longer." Before she could respond, a sudden howl echoed from the forest outside the castle. The pack tensed, ears pricked, muscles coiled. Liam's body stiffened, a growl rumbling low in his chest. His eyes flicked to the shadows at the edge of the hall, then back to her. "This isn't just about Adrian," he said, voice now commanding, dangerous. "There are others who've been watching, waiting. And they will regret underestimating what they're dealing with." Serena swallowed hard, a shiver running down her spine. The world she thought she knew, one of cautious heartbreak and hidden longing, was gone. In its place was something untamed, raw, and impossibly magnetic. That night, as the moon rose high over the northern woods, Liam claimed more than just her lips. He claimed her presence, her heart, and even the fears she had tried to bury. And Serena realized, with both dread and desire, that this Alpha King would stop at nothing to make sure she was his, in front of anyone who dared to doubt it. But Adrian wasn't the only threat. Somewhere beyond the castle walls, something darker stirred. And the more Liam revealed his claim in public, the more dangerous their world became. The castle's grand hall had emptied slowly, leaving only the lingering whispers and the fading echo of Liam's possessive claim. Serena followed him through the towering doors into the cool night, the moon casting silver light across the sprawling grounds. Every instinct in her screamed both fear and anticipation, fear of what this new life might bring, anticipation of the fire Liam ignited inside her. Liam didn't let go of her hand. His thumb brushed her knuckles in a silent promise, a tether that grounded her even as her mind swirled with doubt. "You were mine before Adrian ever laid claim," he said quietly, his voice a growl that rumbled deep in her chest. "And no one, not him, not anyone, will take you from me." Serena's breath hitched. The words were intoxicating, but reality was stubborn. Adrian's betrayal, the past she had tried to forget, all pressed against her heart like a heavy stone. "Liam, what if it's not just him? What if they come for you, for us?" He stopped walking and pulled her into the shadows of a stone archway. The moonlight highlighted the sharp planes of his face, the intensity of his amber eyes burning into her very soul. "Then we'll face them together," he promised, voice low and dangerous. "But you need to understand something, Serena. My world isn't safe, and my heart belongs to no one but you." A sudden rustle in the nearby woods made Serena jump. Liam's body shifted, predatory and tense. "Stay behind me," he ordered, eyes scanning the darkness. The wind carried faint scents, foreign wolves, outsiders, and something else, a something darker. Minutes stretched into silence, broken only by the distant howl of the northern pack. Serena could feel the raw power radiating from Liam, a protective aura that enveloped her. She wanted to run her fingers through his hair, to tell him she was his, but the danger around them was real, tangible, and alive. "Serena," Liam whispered, almost tenderly, "look at me." Her gaze met his, and he continued, "Every threat, every shadow, it doesn't matter. Because I claimed you, and everyone will know. Tonight, Adrian learned what he lost, but soon everyone else will too." Before she could respond, a flicker of movement caught her eye, a figure darting between the trees, watching, waiting. Liam's teeth glinted in a low, warning snarl. "They've been following you," he growled, his protective instincts flaring. "All those years, and now, they think they can touch what's mine." Serena shivered, torn between fear and desire. The man she had always been drawn to, the Alpha King, fierce and untamed, stood before her, a storm wrapped in human form. And tonight, she realized, There was no turning back. The night held its breath as Liam drew her close, his body a shield, his lips brushing hers in a promise that sent shivers down her spine. The danger was real, the past still whispered threats, but for the first time, Serena felt a thrill in surrendering to him, to the Alpha King, to the life she had always wanted but never dared to dream of. The moon hung high over the northern woods, casting ghostly shadows across the castle walls. Inside, the warmth of the fire in Liam's private chambers did little to calm the storm raging between them. Serena stood near the window, her fingers brushing the smooth glass as she stared into the night. Every howl, every rustle of leaves, reminded her that danger was never far from Liam, or from her. Liam, however, was not concerned with shadows. His amber eyes burned with focus, his jaw tense as he approached her from behind. One hand rested lightly on the small of her back, pulling her close. "You shouldn't worry about them," he murmured, his breath hot against her ear. "I've marked you, Serena. Every wolf, every threat, they'll know you belong to me." She turned to face him, heart hammering, her cheeks flushed from both fear and desire. "It's not just Adrian anymore, is it?" she asked softly. Liam's lips curled into a predatory smile. "No, but tonight he learned his lesson. And soon everyone who ever doubted you or me will learn it too." His hand slid up to cup her face, tilting her chin until their eyes locked. The air between them crackled, a magnetic pull neither could resist. Then, in a swift, consuming motion, Liam captured her lips again, this kiss deeper, fiercer, leaving no doubt about his claim. Serena's knees threatened to buckle, but his strong hands held her steady, grounding her in the overwhelming rush of passion and dominance. The sound of a distant shout echoed from the courtyard. Serena's eyes widened and Liam's expression hardened. "Stay," he commanded, voice low and dangerous. He strode toward the source, every muscle coiled like a panther ready to strike. Serena's heart raced, torn between the urge to follow and the knowledge that this was his fight. Moments later he returned, dragging Adrian behind him. The ex's face was pale, his bravado stripped away by fear and awe. Liam's gaze swept the room, landing squarely on him. "This is what happens," Liam said coldly, "when you underestimate what you've lost. When you forget that some things, some women, belong to an alpha." Serena felt a thrill of vindication, her chest heaving. She had been underestimated, doubted, discarded, and now, in the arms of the man who had always been hers, she was seen, protected, and claimed. Liam's eyes softened as he returned to her side. "You have nothing to fear," he whispered. "Not from him, not from anyone." His lips found hers once more, slower this time, a promise of safety and desire intertwined. Serena melted against him, letting the tension of years vanish in the heat of the Alpha King's arms. But even as they clung to each other, the shadows outside shifted, and a cold wind whispered through the cracks of the castle. Liam stiffened, senses alert. The night was far from over, and their claim had only just begun. Serena realized with a shiver that loving an Alpha King meant danger, fire, and passion in equal measure, and she had no intention of turning away from any of it. The morning sun broke through the castle's towering windows, but the warmth of the day did little to calm the storm brewing inside Serena. She had barely slept, her mind replaying the events of the night, Liam's public claim, Adrian's humiliation, and the thrilling danger that had clung to them like a second skin. Liam, however, required no rest. He paced the balcony outside Serena's chambers, the morning light catching the sharp lines of his face, highlighting the raw power that seemed to radiate from him. Every muscle was coiled, every sense alert. Serena approached cautiously, aware that even in his human form, he carried the weight and intensity of a predator. "You didn't sleep," she observed softly. "I don't need to," he said, his amber eyes narrowing as they scanned the horizon. "Last night was a message. Adrian won't forget it. Neither will anyone else who dares think you're theirs to claim." Serena shivered, not from fear, but from the undeniable heat that surged through her whenever he spoke in that low, commanding tone. "And what about the shadows you sensed? The ones outside the castle?" Liam's jaw tightened. "They're close," he admitted. "Someone's been watching us for weeks. They know what I want, and they're trying to take it before I can fully claim it. But no one touches what's mine." His hand reached for hers, curling around her fingers with a possessive strength that left her breathless. Before she could respond, a sudden crash echoed from the courtyard. Serena jumped, and Liam's body stiffened instantly, every instinct on high alert. He moved with predatory grace, Serena following at his side. Outside, Adrian had returned, flanked by two strangers, wolves with dangerous, calculating eyes. Liam's growl rumbled low, the sound vibrating through Serena's chest. "Step back," he warned, voice lethal. "This ends now." Adrian sneered, though it faltered under Liam's intensity. "You think you can just take her, Liam? She's mine to remind me of what I lost." Liam's eyes blazed. "She belongs to me, and anyone who tries to touch her will regret it." In one swift motion, he shifted, his form rippling as his wolfish power surged, muscles expanding, fur bristling, eyes glowing like molten gold. The strangers froze, the air thick with tension as Liam's dominance filled the courtyard. Serena's breath caught. Even seeing him like this, raw, untamed, and utterly lethal, didn't scare her. Instead, it made her chest ache with desire. "Liam," she whispered, pressing closer to him. The Alpha King's gaze softened only briefly before returning to his warning stare. "Stay behind me," he said, voice like steel wrapped in velvet. "Because no one hurts you while I breathe." Adrian took a step back, fear now visible in his eyes. The strangers hesitated, realizing they were up against more than a man. They faced an Alpha King, fierce and unrelenting. And as the sun climbed higher, Serena understood something profound with Liam. Danger was inevitable, but so was the fire, passion, and protection that came with being claimed by a wolf unlike any other. This was only the beginning. The night fell like a velvet curtain over the northern woods, the silver light of the moon glinting on the frost-kissed trees. Inside the castle, Serena sat by the fireplace, her hands wrapped around a mug of tea that had long since cooled. The adrenaline of the day's events still coursed through her veins. Adrian's failed attempt, the strangers in the courtyard, and Liam's unwavering dominance that had left both fear and longing in her heart. Liam entered without a sound, the soft thud of his boots barely registering over the crackle of the fire. He paused behind her, his presence magnetic and suffocating at once. "You've been thinking about him," he stated, his amber eyes piercing the shadows. Serena flinched slightly. "I can't help it. Everything that happened before, it's still part of me." Liam knelt behind her chair, his hands sliding over her shoulders, kneading away tension as his lips ghosted over her temple. "Then let me erase the fear," he whispered. "Let me replace it with me, with us. No one, not Adrian, not the shadows, will touch you again. I swear it." The firelight danced in his eyes, reflecting the raw, untamed intensity that had first drawn her to him. Serena's chest heaved, a mixture of desire and fear tightening around her heart. She wanted to surrender completely, but a whisper of doubt remained. Before she could respond, a distant howl sliced through the night, low and menacing. Liam's body stiffened, every muscle tensing as he stood. "They're close?" he growled, amber eyes scanning the forest. "Someone wants you, but they will regret it." He pulled her close, pressing a hand to her forehead. "Trust me, Serena. Whatever comes, we face it together. But tonight you rest. Tomorrow we make them understand who you belong to." The words sent a shiver down her spine. Her hand found his, curling around it as if holding onto a lifeline. The fire between them burned brighter than the flames in the hearth, desire mingling with the unspoken danger that surrounded them. Hours later, when Serena finally drifted into a restless sleep, Liam kept vigil by her side. His gaze never left the windows, every shadow outside scanned, every sound noted. Protecting her wasn't just instinct, it was obsession, a need as fierce as the fire that had ignited the moment he had first kissed her in front of Adrian. But as the night deepened, a creeping unease settled over him. Someone knew. Someone had been watching, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And when they did, Liam would be ready. But the question that haunted him was whether Serena could withstand the danger that came with being the mate of an Alpha King. He brushed a strand of hair from her face, pressing a kiss to her temple. "You're mine," he whispered, low and possessive, a vow that resonated through the shadows. "And no one, not Adrian, not them, will ever take you from me." The forest beyond the castle remained silent for now, but Liam knew better. The war for his mate was only beginning. and he would not rest until every threat was crushed under his power. The moon hung low over the northern forest, its pale light cutting through the mist like a knife. Serena shivered, not from the chill, but from the restless energy that seemed to hum through the castle walls. Even in the safety of Liam's presence, danger was never far. Liam had stationed sentries along the perimeter, every wolf in the pack alert and ready, but something in the night whispered of a threat beyond ordinary eyes. His amber gaze scanned the shadows, every muscle coiled like a predator about to strike. Serena felt the tension radiating from him, and though part of her wanted to pull back, another part longed to be closer, to be enveloped in his protective power. A sudden crash shattered the quiet. Serena gasped as a dark figure burst through the courtyard doors, moving with unnatural speed. Liam was at her side in an instant, body taut, teeth bared, eyes glowing gold. "Stay behind me," he growled, and Serena obeyed without question. The intruder, a wolf unlike any Liam had ever sensed, paused, eyes flicking to Serena, calculating. Its aura radiated danger, dominance, and malice. Liam's lips curled in a snarl. "Who sent you?" he demanded, voice lethal. The intruder tilted its head, a mocking grin crossing its features. "You think you own her," it hissed. "You think this little alpha claim protects her? She is more than just yours, and I will prove it." Before Liam could react, the figure lunged. The hall erupted into chaos as Liam shifted, his form growing, fur bristling, muscles expanding with raw power. Serena's heart raced as she watched him, a living storm of fury and desire, protect her with unmatched ferocity. The intruder's claws met Liam's in a shower of sparks. The air was thick with tension, the battle between two alpha forces shaking the castle to its foundation. Serena could feel every vibration, every roar, every heartbeat echoing through her own chest. And then, amidst the fury and chaos, Liam turned his gaze to her, eyes smoldering with possessive fire. He leapt forward, pinning the intruder with a strength that left no doubt. Serena was his, and anyone who dared challenge that claim would face his wrath. The intruder retreated with a snarl, recognizing defeat, but the warning was clear. This was only the beginning. Someone was coming for Serena, and the shadows that had been watching her for weeks were no longer content to wait. Liam shifted back to his human form, pulling Serena into his arms. Her body trembled, a mixture of fear and the lingering heat of his power. "You are mine," he whispered, lips brushing her hair, "and I will fight anyone, anything, to keep you." Serena's breath hitched as she pressed closer to him, the danger outside making the fire between them all the more intense. She had always wanted to be claimed, to be protected, to be loved with a passion that consumed everything in its path. And now, with the Alpha King holding her in his arms, she realized she had found all of that and more. But the shadows outside were patient, and Liam knew that the war for his mate had only just begun.